Hello, everyone. It's Murph. It's Collins. It's Monday night, and you know what that means? It's Indy Open in iRacing, and today we've got a special treat. That's the castle, Jacob. We are at the Nürburgring for the combined course. So the Grand Prix track at the south end replaced the old South Loop and the North Loop, the Nordschleife, all one circuit tonight, Jacob. Everybody, we do appreciate your patience. We know that we're a little bit later in the session than we normally get in, and that's just simply because, Jacob, this track takes a minute to load, doesn't it?
It's real big. That's about the biggest thing it's got going for it. You know, you're driving through essentially a bunch of German forests here out at the Nordschleife, combined with the GP track that they've used for F1 a couple times in recent years. They used to run F1 on the big track, but something too dangerous, something. So we're gonna harken back to why we can do things in the simulator.
That is absolutely right. We're running the 24-hour circuit here today, Jacob. You said big, 15.769 miles around. Just the North Loop, the famous North Loop, is 12.94 miles of that. The track, very affectionately or unaffectionately known as the Green Hell, and that's because the track is just a run basically around a city, and it is through the mountains. It is surrounded by forest. You've got the modern Grand Prix track that you're looking at there. But that's not the fun part, Jacob. The fun part is when you make the left and get out onto the North Loop, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the drivers that love this circuit kind of say that when you exit the GP track, the Nordschleife kind of beckons to you to come towards it, and you're just nothing but eager to get on through that big outer loop.
It is indeed, and you may notice, fans, we've already got a grid. This will be set by iRating. There is not enough time here in order to in order to have a qualifying session. Just a lap here is anywhere between 6 and 8 minutes, something like that, right, Jacob?
Depends on the vehicle.
It depends on the vehicle. You're right. Nathan Moore will have the grid set by iRating. Nathan Moore will have the pole. Adam Blocker second. Logan Edwards, Seb Alexander are going to be on row 2. Caleb Brashear, Olivia Hayward, row 3. Ty Keela, David Hinger, row 4. And Thomas Van Kirk, Tyler Van Langenberg. They're going to make up positions 9 and 10. In 11th, Ella Spice. Luca Monroe, he's going to go 12. Frankie Franchica. Help me out. Franchica, there you go. There you go, Jacob. He'll start 13th. Kevin Hayes will roll from 14th. 14 cars signed in for tonight, Jacob. We had 28, and they split into 2 equal 14-car splits as they roll away from the grid. And there you go. It is hazy out there, Jacob. 65 degrees. This is a morning session. 65 degrees in the air and on the track. 87% humidity. The wind is out of the due south at 22 miles an hour, and it is overcast. You can see the fog.
Yeah, it's kind of common here early morning in the German hillside, from what I've been told, is that it's going to be pretty hazy throughout the going here, and that presents its own challenge too, right? Especially if the sun starts glinting through the clouds. That always trips people up trying to basically stare into the sun in the haze.
It does indeed. We are coming through now. Patience, if you're a Nürburgringophile, which I certainly am not, but we don't necessarily, Jacob and I don't necessarily know the names of the corners, and so if we mispronounce one or miscall one, that's not intentional. It's just us not knowing the track as well as we should. We are coming through an area known as Tiergarten, which is right before the start-finish line, or where you get back to the start-finish line. There'll be a chicane here, a quick left and a right, and then they'll turn back onto the Grand Prix track. And when they do, Jacob, that's when we say go.
Yeah, and it's a pretty tight run down to turn 1 on the GP track, no matter how you slice it. So we'll have to see if people can make it on through that very tricky opening corner.
It is indeed. We are on the connection from the Nordschleife back to the GP track. If you were to go left right there, you would continue along on the North Loop only. But now we're on the Modern Grand Prix track. Barney has the green flag in the air. And Jacob, this is about to get real fun. Strap in, folks. 9 laps at the ring.
Green flag, green flag.
Already Nathan Moore darts away. Seb Alexander, he's looking to the outside of Adam Blocker now. It is worth noting here that Alexander, Ty Keela, and Ella Spikes have all gone off on the red alternate tires, and they're going to be looking to make hay while the sun is shining. Seb Alexander already second, and he's going to start pressuring Nathan Moore for that lead. But here's the problem with that. With that, Jacob. Those alternate tires are not going to last, are they?
No, they don't tend to last very good just about anywhere. When you've got to cover 15 plus miles of track, that's going to only be even more than that.
It most certainly is. You're watching Seb Alexander in the Indy Alliance machine. He's following the Williams eSports car of Nathan Moore. We're going to jump on. Let's get on the roll. Let's get on Seb's roll bar and just show you what he's facing as they get ready to pull out. This is the left. It's Hartzenbach. They pull through that left, and now they're on the North Loop. This is the famous course that we've all driven way back through what? Gran Turismo 2 was the first appearance in a game.
That sounds right.
It never had the Grand Prix loop though, so you could drive right up to the edge of the modern Grand Prix course. You could never drive on it. iRacing is the first one that I can remember where you could do both in a semi-realistic setting. But there's Seb Alexander, and just look at how many corners there are. 153, I believe, as they go over as they head toward Flugplatz. There it is. One of the more famous jumps on this course. There are several where the car will get airborne as we head down through Adenauer Forest.
Yeah, there's a pretty notable run around the 17-kilometer mark of the course. But definitely, the track drops away very, very suddenly, and you've definitely got to be prepared for that one as the track basically disappears as soon as you crest that hill.
You know, it does. Now, the modern Indy cars, they don't get airborne like the old Formula One machines do. They do get very light, though, in several places. That's one of them. Watching the telemetry, it gets very fast here, Jacob.
Yeah, this long downhill run as they come up working towards the what I believe turns into about the last third of the opening portion of this track.
The first sector ends usually right about at is it Versifen is the name of the corner, which is, it's this complex right here is where the first sector ends. And then you'll get the run up to Bergwerk and then down toward probably the most famous corner in the course, which is the carousel, the banked left-hander. Only part of the corner is banked, though. The top half is flat. The groove is banked. There is another banked corner in the course. That is the Klein's carousel, which leads toward Dottinger Ho, and that's the long straight toward the Tiergarten. Seb Alexander, we're still riding on board, back on board with Seb as he tries to chase down Nathan Moore. Interesting to me is that Seb has not been able to catch and pass Nathan Moore unless he's not trying to.
Well, you got to think some of this is just kind of riding through a lot of these corners, right? A lot of these are very high commitment, high speed corners. We see them basically all but flat out in this double left-hander here, working back over the crest, downhill again, and there's not really an opportunity to get your car alongside around this very, very long technical portion of the track. I imagine a lot of people are going to wait until that back straightaway, that really, really long back straightaway, or the opening portion of the GP track to set up their moves.
There you go. There you go through the carousel. This track is not wide, especially for a modern car. It really is only 2 car widths wide. in most places. It's worth noting that the front three have broken away from Logan Edwards. There he is in fourth. He's got Caleb Brashear in tow, the two Luke Mansky cars, fourth and fifth. And then Ty Keela is hot on the heels of Caleb Brashear in sixth place. And then they've got some sort of a gap back to Olivia Hayward, Tyler Langenberg in seventh and eighth, Thomas Van Kirk and Luca Monroe, David Hinger. They've all got 2 or 3 seconds between them. Do want to thank everybody for joining us. Here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. You've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. We've got a pretty big crowd here tonight, Jacob, and they're seeing something that we could only do in the sim, right? That's IndyCars at the Nürburgring combined. It's not just the Nordschleife. Nathan Moore and Seb Alexander have made their way toward that long back straightaway. They are almost there. I believe they should be getting ready to make the second banked corner or the second carousel. There it is. And they're going to hit that long Dotner Ho straightaway and head toward the tier guard. And this straightaway is over a mile, almost a mile long, Jacob.
Yeah, you come to think about it, you could spread Milwaukee out end to end, and it'd be only as long as this one straightaway. And that's wild to think about, that the length of this straightaway is basically one of the most commonplace tracks on the IndyCar calendar. So we're going to see these guys stretch their legs for that whole distance now. It
is indeed. It is worth noting that's the toll booth over to your right that you see. That's where fans can come, and you can actually drive it. If you're in Germany, you can come drive a lap of this thing. It functions as a one-way toll road, Jacob, and it's not very expensive to drive a lap. The issue is that if you wreck your car, most insurance will not cover an accident here, and you have to pay for the damage to the barriers.
Yes. It's a very unique, stringent policy here at the Nordschleife for a variety of things.
It is indeed, but it functions as a one-way toll road. And German traffic laws do apply. Now, in practice, everybody just runs the racing line, but traffic law does apply. If you're a fan taking a lap here, we start lap 2. Adam Blocker has made the move on Seb Alexander, and he is going to be fighting to keep hold of those red alternate tires. Let's have a look back a little bit deeper in the field, because Ty Keela has not been successful in his bid to get by Caleb Brashear and Logan Edwards. That is the Luke Mansky Racing Esports Machines. There's Ty as he rolls along. About 3 seconds behind him, you've got Tyler Langenberg, 6 minutes, 57 seconds on that opening lap. There's Langenberg, and he's got Olivia Hayward very loyally kind of looking... he's got Olivia Hayward very loyally just kind of hanging on to the backside of Tyler, and there they go. Interesting to note, Jacob, only Langenberg got an official lap out of that first time through. Everybody else got at least 1x.
Well, nobody said that the track limits were the fastest way around here.
Absolutely not. But there's Langenberg in the familiar gold, trimmed with some silver. He runs along in 7th. Olivia Hayward right behind him in 8th. You've got to go some 7 seconds back to find Luca Monroe and David Hinger. They are right there in 9th and 10th. And there's Luca Monroe. He is in the 12th. David Hinger in the 8th. Both of them familiar faces in the Indy Open Series. But they're 9th and 10th, some 8 seconds behind Langenberg and Hayward. So there they are. Kevin Hayes is about 7 seconds behind them. And that's a good-looking hot rod, Jacob, for Kevin Hayes. He was the last car in. He runs in the number 14. He runs 11th. Thomas Van Kirk has had some trouble. He is just now making his way back onto the Nordschleife. And I can tell you why. He is 38 seconds behind. He is minus the right side of his front wing in the Dunder Mifflin machine. But there's Van Kirk in 12th. And Ellis Spice is in the pit lane. He has the meatball. Frankie has disconnected. And so that's the status of the field. let's get back and look at this battle for first, second, and third. We've got the camera on Adam Blocker. He is now about 1.4 seconds behind Nathan Moore, the Williams Esports driver, giving it a good ride early. But you got to wonder, how much of a disadvantage are they at having to run the alternate tires later? Is Alexander the smartest man in the room for taking the tires that aren't at the advantage at the beginning, Jacob?
Well, I think it's ultimately how far does Alexander stray away behind them, right? The pit cycle is going to do a little bit, right? But it's going to be all about trying to claw that gap back once the tire swap happens between both groups of cars, right? So that it's going to be nailing the pit stop for one, and for two, staying close enough throughout this opening stint to have a shot to do something once those tires come around your way.
You know, that's a great point. It's, you know, to me, if he can stay within the draft range, we're going to put the gap to the next car up and welcome in Paul Ascori, Alex Miller joining us. We've got Clindy's mom in with us, Jake. We better do a good job.
That's a lot of pressure, Mark.
It is. Paul is awesome, and everybody in the audience is awesome too. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. You are watching the Indy Open Series from the Nürburgring. It is the combined 24-hour circuit. Clindy has joined us. He says that Ty and Seb taught him everything he knows about the ring. They taught me everything I know too, Clindy, and I still don't know anything. But you're watching Adam Blocker. He hooks the left sides into on the bottom of the carousel. Do you know why it's called the Caraciola Carousel, Jacob?
I wouldn't have a single clue.
So back in the day, so this track, just to let everybody know, the Nürburgring is the historic home of the German Grand Prix, and it held the German Grand Prix both in the pre-World War II times and then up through 1970. Jacob, 70, 71, something like that?
Yeah, 71, I think, was Lauda's crash.
And that was the last race on the old Nordschleife, and then it went to Hockenheim until they built the modern Grand Prix circuit in the 80s. But this track, in particular, very much the historic home of the German Grand Prix. In the 30s, Rudolf Caraciola, the famed Mercedes driver, made that corner famous because there was at one point a ditch that ran along the bottom and he would actually put his left side wheels in that ditch and kind of hooked the corner and made him very fast through there until Caraciola did it. The favored line around there was to use the flat surface, not the banking. See Alexander.
And we're back to that big straightaway.
Yeah, you see Alexander weaving back and forth there. As I had said earlier, the key is going to be, can Seb Alexander stay in the draft? The draft envelope in these cars, 1.8 seconds. Alexander is well within that. He is 1.1 seconds behind Adam Blocker in the Indy Alliance machine. And the question now becomes, does Alexander pit here, or does he go for another lap on those alternate tires, Jacob?
Well, we'll find out very quickly. He's going to keep going.
Yeah, he's going to go for another. Do want to point out that Caleb Brashear has now pulled right up on the back. Nathan Moore sets the fastest lap. And now we're getting official lap time. 6:46.310 for Nathan Moore. Adam Blocker, 6:46.241. Alexander, 6:47. Logan Edwards, a 6:50. Caleb Brashear is pulled right up on the rear of his Luke Mansky Racing Esports teammate. He's got a 6:48. Ty Keela, 6:49. Langenberg, 6:52. Same for Hayward. David Hinger, 6 minutes 54. Luca Monroe, 6 minutes 55. It is worth noting that Thomas Van Kirk, as we hop on board Caleb Brashear, it is worth noting that Thomas Van Kirk did stop and replace his front wing, and he bolted on fresh primary black sidewall Firestone. So he's gonna have to make an extra pit stop, but he's off the alternates. Also, Ellis Spice has retired his machine, so there are 12 cars remaining. Only Alexander and Tykila elected to start this race on the alternates. We're watching the battle for fourth. That is Logan Edwards leading Caleb Brashear in the Luke Mansky cars. The Luke Mansky Esports team is identifiable. Edwards has the purple trim on his car, the purple halo, purple wing end plates. Caleb Brashear is blue. And for those of you who are asking, yes, that is the Caleb Brashear, one and the same that beat us all in Chicago, Jacob. He's a pretty handy driver.
That he is, and it's good to see him out here hunting down in the German countryside.
It is Caleb Brashear, one of the truly awesome people in the community. He was the winner of the INDYCAR Invitational at the Sim Gaming Expo. Huge win for Caleb, and he runs along in fifth place here in this one, which is his car number. And so that's kind of the thing in iRacing. Your car number is determined in an official race by your I rating. The highest I rating gets the number one, and so on down the line. I always kind of looked at it like this, Jacob. If you can run at or better than your car number, you've had a pretty good day. Right now, Caleb Brashear running his car number. That's about right, isn't it?
Well, and then you get into the situations where you're the one car by a country mile, and the game just expects you to win, and then you don't win, and then you lose.
That's correct. And I always hated being the number one car. Speaking of the number one car, Adam Blocker has pulled within a half second now of Nathan Moore, and they have left Seb Alexander. He is now 3 seconds behind the leading duo, and Seb Alexander is struggling on those red alternate tires, and he has got quite a bit of a lap yet to go. Right now, we're just a little bit less than halfway through lap 3, and Alexander's red alternate tires have already given up the ghost.
I think the biggest thing for Seb here is if he can maintain this gap enough to where when one of these other cars ahead takes those red tires, it maybe falls back towards him, and he can make a move maybe through that long back straightaway or through the opening GP track. Come the switch over.
Well, and that's the nice thing about it, right? I mean, he's getting his alternate stint out of the way. Moore and Blocker are going to have to run those tires yet, and so it's they're going to be at the disadvantage at some point in this race. It's on Seb Alexander just to stay as close as possible. Now he's burning up a ton of push to pass here, trying to keep up, and that's one of the ways you can try to keep up, Jacob. Use the push to pass, but Alexander. He is at the disadvantage, and he definitely looks at running along in third. He's lost almost 3 seconds to Adam Blocker. It wasn't long ago that these three cars were on top of each other. We'll shift back to Blocker because he is right on the diffuser of Nathan Moore. Do want to welcome Sophia Connell into the chat, cheering for Olivia Hayward. Oh, hey, running in 8th. And here's Olivia. She is just right behind Tyler Langenberg there, running along in the 8th spot. Has been very loyal to the back of that gold and silver machine, Jacob. But she's doing a fine job, just kind of hanging out, keeping pace. She's got 12 seconds in hand over Luca Monroe.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned running this track in the last couple seasons, trying to get acquainted with, is the biggest thing you can do is just be patient with people. There's so much track here that you can, people are gonna have a spot where they're not their strongest, and you're gonna be able to capitalize on it. You just got to be there when they're ready to make that mistake for you.
That's right. With 150 plus turns, there is ample opportunity, Jacob, to make a mistake at this place. Let's not understate that. And so, it's a matter of you're gonna make a mistake. If you're like me, you make at least 3 or 4 a lap. You're going to make a mistake. It's a matter of capitalizing on that mistake. And there's Hayward, and she's sitting right behind Tyler Langenberg, just waiting to capitalize on that mistake. I'm wondering, as we see Seb Alexander head on to that long straightaway and head towards home, if he's going to make his pit stop this time.
Well, you have to think maybe with the amount of push to pass he's been using, that's kind of hurt his fuel economy as well. So that might put him in the window where he has to come in now.
Well, and we were talking about that before. There's an outside chance you could make 4 laps on a tank, but in truth, it's probably more like 3, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, I think you load in with about 4.3, but I imagine with a combination of push to pass and just being at speed, that number is going to be maybe just under 4, at 4. We'll have to see as Alexander works through these last couple of corners heading towards the GP track.
Most certainly so. We would anticipate the Indy Alliance machine pulling it on to pit lane. Interesting to note, teammate Rashad Craig, the defending series champion, is not here this evening. And so we'll just do note that Rashad Craig not here. But Seb Alexander does pull it onto the pit road. Nathan Moore has also come into the pits, and we'll cover the stop for Nathan Moore to see what his tire choice is. Pretty clear that Alexander is going to go onto the primary black sidewall tires. Nathan Moore, he's going to do the same.
Save the tough tires for the end. They're taking a gamble.
He is indeed. It is worth noting that Nathan Moore 10.1 seconds on the pit lane in that in his pit box in that Williams eSports car. Seb Alexander 9.2 seconds. So do note that. It is also worth noting that Seb Alexander came out in traffic. He has got David Hinger and Luca Monroe surrounding him. Caleb Brashear, Tyler Langenberg all came in for their stops as well. Langenberg and Thomas Van Kirk went on to the red alternates. Adam Blocker, Logan Edwards, Olivia Hayward, and Luca Monroe all have yet to stop. And Seb is going to want to get those tires up to temperature and get by. And there goes Seb. He's off.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this GP track is the braking zones are just long enough to where you get those tires really under load, and on those colder tires, they don't really tend to grip up as much as you'd like them to in these really heavy braking zones, particularly in the opening portion of the GP track here.
They do not, and that's something that we're going to continue to watch. Seb Alexander, a mistake for the Indy Alliance driver. He pulls back onto the Nordschleife. By now, the tires should be starting to get warm. Normally, it takes a lap. For that to occur. You got to remember he's done that lap by now.
Yeah, this is basically 4 tracks put together in terms of the tire warm-up period.
Most certainly is. So Seb is set, squared away, and ready to go. Some 46 seconds behind this man, Adam Blocker. Blocker headed through Adenauer Forest, and he is working lap number 4 of 9. Makes you wonder, is Adam Blocker going to try to go 4, 4, and 1 here, Jacob?
Well, it's an option. I think that if he played his fuel number right, he could do that. I just wonder if 1 lap on the alternates is going to be enough for him to be able to make that second stop and get him out ahead. Seems like at least somewhat of a risk.
Or 4, 3, and 2 maybe. You do that as well. We didn't see Alexander really fall off until the 3rd lap on his alternates. And so it's possible that Adam Blocker could be playing it that way. Go 4 laps here, then 3 laps, then 2 laps to end it. The other thing, if you do that short stint at the end on the alts, Jacob, you don't have to take as much fuel, and that helps save him too.
That is very true.
So watching Adam Blocker, he has a 12-second lead over Logan Edwards, then Olivia Hayward. Those front 3 have not stopped. Nathan Moore has stopped in the Williams eSports car. He will likely inherit either second or the lead once Adam Blocker, Logan Edwards, and Olivia Hayward pit. Luca Monroe, David Hinger have not stopped either. Seb Alexander has maintained his position, and he's now some 3 seconds ahead of Caleb Brashear. So it's not really hurt Seb that he had that spin. If you remember, the Luke Mansky cars were just right together, and so he should be comfortably ahead of Brashear when Brashear, or not Brashear, of Edwards, when Edwards stops, and we're waiting on that momentarily. Here's Adam Blocker through the carousel one more time. The carousel is about halfway, Jacob.
Believe that would be about right.
And
especially given that the second one's almost at the very end.
And how wild is that? You get all the way there, and you've driven your heart out, and you're trying to remember which way the track goes, all 156 corners or whatever it is, and you get to that corner, and you're just halfway.
Well, I think it's different for everybody, right? Especially guys who've logged a good number of laps here. That doesn't feel as unpredictable or as long a way to go.
It doesn't. The good news is the lap gets a lot less technical. I kind of feel like after that, it's not that there are fewer corners per mile necessarily, but it just feels like it is a lot less technical. You've got some long straightaways in there, and then of course the really long run down to Tiergarten. There was a jump. We saw Adam Blocker's car get airborne there.
Yeah, I believe that was around that 17-kilometer mark that I recalled earlier on in the event here tonight. You don't got a really long time to stop there either, and that makes it really tricky if you go wide.
Yes, it does. We are watching Adam Blocker as he cruises ahead. We're going to cover the pit stop because the story is going to be, where's Adam Blocker going to come out in relation to Nathan Moore? Moore was the leader prior to making his pit stop. Adam Blocker has gone the extra lap, though, Jacob, as he heads down toward the Tiergarten, and he's going to have to stop this time. There's no two ways about that one past the toll booth, but he's going to have to stop here, Jacob.
Yeah, you're not making magical fuel, that's for sure. Many Nordschleife believers might think this place is magic, but I don't think fuel is one of its magical properties.
It most certainly is not. There's the pit lane for only the North Circuit, the Nordschleife as it's called. And here comes Adam Blocker. He is going to make his way onto the pit lane. Lap 4 in the books. So Adam Blocker goes the longest. And here comes the Dark Knight to the pit lane. Logan Edwards is going to follow him in, as will Olivia Hayward. And here's going to be the story of the first half of this race. Can Adam Blocker beat Nathan Moore out of the pits here? Blocker is rolling. Edwards is stopping. And he is going to handsomely get back out on the track ahead of Nathan Moore. But Nathan Moore, hot Firestone primaries. We saw Seb Alexander. Blocker is going to have to tiptoe here, at least till he gets to the Nordschleife, and that could open the door for Nathan Moore.
That it certainly could. We'll imagine it probably takes the entire portion of this GP track to get those tires to a point where they're comfortable. Maybe not optimal, but comfortable is probably the right word for it. So we'll see. This is the opportunity for Moore to strike.
Yes, it is. There goes. There is Nathan Moore. He is coming. He's got it down to less than a second. Nathan Moore was using the push to pass too there, Jacob. But we are just about onto the Nordschleife, and Adam Blocker appears as though he's going to maintain the lead, albeit not by very much. Nathan Moore has now closed up to half a second.
But now here comes the exercise of patience, right? He's closed this gap up, but now he's got to navigate essentially this entire, I believe it's going to be about 12 miles around the North Loop here, and then he's got to navigate all this and then wait to strike at basically the end of the lap, unless Blocker makes a grave mistake.
And those of you who've watched these programs, both on RaceSpot, P1, across leagues like Lionheart, the INDYCAR Open Series, a mistake from Adam Blocker is not often forthcoming, Jacob.
No.
That is one cool customer in the cockpit of that number 2 car. Nathan Moore, an excellent driver in his own right, but when you get to an 8,000 I rating, you don't make many mistakes. Adam Blocker certainly is not known for that. It is worth noting that Logan Edwards has pulled out ahead of Seb Alexander, and so Logan Edwards is going to run third, Seb Alexander fourth. And so it's a Luke Mansky 3.5 with Seb Alexander in the Indy Alliance machine, the meat in that sandwich. The only other even cars that are close together on the track, Olivia Hayward is maintaining touch with Tykeela. She has gotten past Tyler Langenberg. Langenberg took the alternate tires on his stop. It's worth noting Ohe is on her outlap, so she's made it past Langenberg by some nearly 6 seconds on the pit stop exchange.
Yeah, and that'll be important, especially when we come around to when those tires come back around. If she pulls a big enough gap on Langenberg that she could just be ahead of him.
Most certainly so. Ohe just trying to hang on to the back of the Rogue Racing entry of Tykeela, and you'll see Tykeela, and there he is. Unfortunate circumstance for the black and silver Rogue entry last night in the votive race at Vegas. They had a pit penalty, Jacob, with a non-existent pit entry cone, I believe it was.
Yeah, that sounds about par for the course of these pit entry cones. I want to say a lot of people got caught out at Texas. Texas had its cone or its pit lane rearranged in the most recent iRacing update. Alongside Vegas, for that matter, but a number of tracks.
Well, I think the issue for Clindy and Ty last night was that the cone just simply didn't exist when they got there, and they ran over the hitbox and the cone wasn't there. So it had been rearranged by a prior incident on the course. Either way, just a tough break because those two had really good cars. Tyler Langenberg has gone off. Langenberg is off and out of this race, and let's see what's happened to him. This is so easy to do at the ring. He's on cold tires. He's going through that first corner, and you try to take it flat, Jacob, and you wind up in the barriers.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites to crash into myself, so I very much understand where Tyler's coming from with that one.
I think I've hit every wall here at some point or another, attempting to make a lap. I was able to make a lap earlier. I got a 1X, so it didn't give me a time. I think I would have been somewhere around 7.5 minutes, so nowhere near competitive. Guys that can do 6 minutes 48 like Blocker, that boggles my brain. I have no idea how they do that, Jacob.
A lot of patience, a lot of laps, a lot of car knowledge, something called skill, which we seem to lack.
I freely admit I have no skill on road courses. There's Seb Alexander. He has now chased down Logan Edwards, and Seb would desperately love to get back into that podium spot. He had pulled a huge gap on Edwards. They've pulled away from Bashir, but he had a huge gap on Edwards before that pit exit gaffe that cost him a ton of real estate. Logan Edwards is 1 lap better on the fuel. Logan Edwards stopped on lap 4, Seb Alexander lap 3. We are working lap 5. And it seems weird to say it, Jacob, but we're going to come up on 2/3 distance here. Not too much longer.
Yeah, and I think the bigger thing to keep in mind is a lot of these front runners still have yet to run the alternates while Alexander already has. So that's an opportunity maybe for Seb to get out ahead in its own right as the alternates maybe fall off for some of these front runners.
It most certainly can. They're headed back toward the Grand Prix track, the GP track. It is known affectionately as GP Strecke. there are those that also call it the Ersatzring, not fans of the fact that it's no longer on the full Nürburgring. This track for a long time it hosted either the European Grand Prix and then it alternated the German Grand Prix with Hockenheim for a long time, and I don't know. It's also been host to a race called the Luxembourg Grand Prix. But I can't recall if they come here anymore, Jacob, in Formula One.
They do not. I don't believe they've gone to Germany on the whole in a couple of years now. I want to say the last race would have been at Hockenheim in 2020, 2021 maybe?
So 2020 was the last race here, won by Lewis Hamilton, which he and Michael Schumacher own the record for the most wins here. This track is also notoriously one of the most dangerous. I believe this course and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are the two tracks in the world that own the most fatal accidents. And so that's another kind of, just to give you a bit of how dangerous it is. People don't usually equate road racing being as dangerous as oval racing, Jacob, but this track is just as frightful as Indianapolis when it comes to that bit of motor racing trivia.
Right, the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix.
Yes, indeed. It's worth noting, you're going to look out the front of Nathan Moore's car, and you know who we don't see anymore? Or barely see?
Adam Blocker.
Yeah, Adam Blocker has driven away from Nathan Moore. It's Nathan Moore had that gap at he was right there on the gearbox. It was 0.3 of a second just a lap ago. Adam Blocker has pulled away to a 2.5 second lead. And so that's what that looks like. But Nathan Moore is well off the pace of the Dark Knight. And that leaves really some 20 seconds back of Nathan Moore. The best battle on the track is this one. It's Logan Edwards in third and Seb Alexander fourth. They're currently having a dispute as to who is going to be the bottom step of that podium.
Yeah, you've got to imagine Seb's hungry for this thing, especially as it kind of slipped away from him through the pit cycle, more or less.
It has, and you know what? I mean, just speaking from being around Seb and being his teammate and being in Discord with him, he's been so close on many occasions. I think he's probably got the community record for second place finishes this year across official and league races, and so he would desperately like a podium, but he's going to knock that door down and become a winner before too much longer in one of these big televised races.
Certainly few that would be more fitting.
But there's Seb, and he is right on the back of Logan Edwards now as they head toward the final sector. On board with Logan Edwards, you see him almost wrestle that car through the Nürburgring.
Yeah, we're starting to get to these corners that are much slower, and you very much have the track constantly falling either direction of you, and the car never seems to really want to go the way you want it to go. And then you just see lots of wheel movement on corner exit, especially.
You do indeed. No corner is more illustrative of that than the two banked corners, just simply because the two corners labeled carousel, the Caracciolo carousel, which is more or less halfway through the lap, and then the Klein's carousel toward the end of the lap. Only half of those corners are banked. If you want a tricky corner to get off to exit, try those two. It is very difficult to get off of those corners, Jacob.
Yeah, and we've got Alexander and Edwards about to hit that first one. And I almost think that some of these corners immediately following this first carousel are just as difficult as you work past the 14-kilometer mark. This kind of uphill left-right that they've got to navigate here. Very tricky. It doesn't look that hard from inside the car, but when you're actually driving it, especially right there, that outside wall on the left gets very, very close if you get a bit too eager on your exit.
Yes, it does. A lot of the corners here are like that. The other thing that you don't want to do, and you saw both Logan Edwards do it, and then Seb Alexander followed his mistake, is clobbering these curbs here. That can be detrimental to your lap time, because the curbing here is not made for modern open wheelers. It's very high, it's very narrow, and it's almost akin to like the sausage curbs at like the Charlotte Roval, for example, Jacob.
Yeah, it's very much avoid the curbs at all costs if you want to survive around here, but you can get away with it every once in a while, as we've seen already.
Most certainly can. Now, this would be the program lap for Seb Alexander to stop again, unless he was going to try to make one more and go back onto the alternate red tires for his final stint. We know Logan Edwards, as they come through the second carousel, we know Logan Edwards has the extra lap of fuel in the bank, and so for him, it's a matter of when he's going to stop. Is he going to do it here? Is he going to wait a lap? Is he going to wait 2 more laps and just run one lap on the alternates? Adam Blocker is headed for the end of his lap, and here's Blocker. He is not going to go down the pit lane, so Adam Blocker is going to go for at least one more. That would leave him with 2 laps for his final run to the checkers. But here's Logan Edwards and Seb Alexander. I wonder when Seb is going to stop.
Well, we've already seen Moore hit the pit lane.
Yeah,
I believe they pit on the same lap the first time, so he's going to come with them.
Yeah, Seb Alexander is going to come in. He's going to pit with Nathan Moore. We're going to show it. Both Nathan Moore and Seb Alexander. Moore goes onto the alternate tires. And here comes Seb Alexander, and I am assuming his choice is going to be to stay with the primaries. There's the Indy Alliance machine. It's going to go up on the jacks, and we'll see Seb Alexander comes back on the primary black tires. So Moore has taken his reds. Seb stays with the black sidewall alternates, and the black sidewall primaries. He is back out on the course. Nathan Moore did not come out in traffic, but he does have Caleb Brashear all over the backside of that Williams Esports machine as he tries to get some heat in those alternate tires here on the GP track.
Yeah, and this is going to be the time that Moore wants to be the most careful, especially with cars in close proximity, right? If he could start to build a gap slowly away, especially as we get towards the Nordschleife proper here, as we see Brashear have a bit of a moment entering there. If he can slowly start to build a gap, that's when he can start getting a bit more comfortable as these tires start to come up and fall away very, very quickly around here.
Yes, he can now. It's worth noting, Seb Alexander, he came out by himself. In his first stop, the Indy Alliance machine came out around other cars, and I have to think that might have contributed to his looping the car on the GP track. He has not done so this time, and he's made it out onto the Nordschleife, and so those tires should be getting close to temperature now for Seb. He is 6th, although there are pit stops to come ahead of him. He is about 15 seconds behind Hayward, and then another 8 seconds to Brashear, and so he should slot in nicely. There's Caleb, but the eyes now go to Adam Blocker. And when is he going to stop? I would assume, Jacob, that that Adam Blocker is going to stop this time.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that it's going to be this time around, especially if he's trying to have those alternates on the car for longer than all of one lap.
Remember, we didn't see the fall off from Seb until 3 laps in, so Nathan Moore is going to fall off. It's a matter of how much. Adam Blocker probably is not going to fall off all that much. Neither will the car of Olivia Hayward. She is going to be set to do the same thing that Adam Blocker does. Same for David Hinger, same for Luca Monroe, although they are on their alternates already, as is as is Nathan Moore. He just stopped. Caleb Brashear should be headed for pit lane as well here momentarily, Seb, as we work lap 7 of 9 here at the Nürburgring. I do want to thank everybody for joining in. You've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins. It is Monday night on P1 Broadcasting. It's the IndyCar Open Series Top Split. Do want to welcome everybody in. If you haven't done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. And we've got a bunch of them upcoming. We've got the Onyx Racing League immediately following this. That's Gary Gazzo, Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the call. Jacob, where is Onyx this week? I
believe it's Gateway.
It is Gateway. So if you have not seen that, series, Lotus 79s, dial it back to 1979, and that is a ton of fun to watch. And so we've got the present of IndyCar. We've got the past of what would be the equivalent to an 81, 82 March. Jacob, it's about what it was.
Somewhere in the neighborhood.
About a 2-year lag. And then the future of IndyCar is tonight. Jacob Collins will be back with the IndyCar, with the Indy Next Series. And Jacob, where is the next series tonight?
Portland.
They are going to Portland, and those cars are a ton of fun. Tomorrow, we've got the flagship broadcast. It is the IndyCar Oval Fixed Series. Gary Godso, of course, will be on the call for that one. Where are they at? Where's that at this week? You told me earlier.
Legacy, Kentucky. The not Greenwald, Kentucky.
The not green, the regular, we'll call it the regularly symmetrical Kentucky at 8:15, and then that's going to be followed immediately by the Indy Next Fixed Oval Series, and that is from where, Mr. Collins?
Dover, the Concrete Monster Mile.
The Concrete Monster. You're going to have the Formula Indy Series and the Horizon IndyCar Series. Both of those are going to come to you on Wednesday. We've got the AMA on Thursday and Friday. Whole bunch of action here on P1. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can tune it in. You're going to see a lot of these same drivers. Logan Edwards has been running him a truck pretty effectively on Friday nights in the AMA. That's been a lot of fun to watch. It always amazes me, guys that can do that, be hyper competitive in an Indy car, very competitive in a truck, or a stock car, sports car. You're one of those, Collins. You've won it basically everything in this hobby, I think.
Well, let's pretend the bulk of sports cars don't exist, and then we could say I've won in a good number of machines for sure.
Adam Blocker working back toward the Grand Prix track, lap 7 of 9. He has a 30-second lead as he comes into the pit lane, and I believe we're going to see the Dark Knight strap on the red alternate tires for a 2-lap dash to the finish. Once he does that, it's just a matter of how far he comes out ahead of Nathan Moore, and then can Nathan Moore catch him?
That is the $1 million question.
Here's the pit stop for Blocker. He's going to put the red boots on, and away he goes. It comes to mind, and I just thought of this. It comes to mind, we did not see Seb Alexander's car go up on jacks. I wonder if Seb isn't double stinting his primaries here at the end. That's something that we'll definitely have to ask him. Adam Blocker comes out right ahead of Logan Edwards, who is going for another round. That's how big of a lead he had, folks. Adam Blocker made his pit stop and came out ahead of second place Logan Edwards, who has not yet made his final stop. Nathan Moore is in this discussion, though, Jacob. There's Nathan.
He's just got to be thereabouts, and right now he is.
Yeah, and again, we kind of said it. If you're there and you're in the discussion, the guy ahead of you makes a mistake, and there is ample opportunity around this place to do so. It only takes one mistake. The barriers, especially on the Nordschleife, they're so close, Jacob, You make a mistake, it's pretty much day done.
Yeah, it pretty much turns into nowhere to run, nowhere to hide until you're sitting high side in a tree.
There you go. Could you have imagined this place in the 60s or before with no barriers? It was just a run into the forest. How scary that would have been.
Well, it's like how Summit Point is, right? You've got, up until recently, a good portion of that place didn't have barriers along the tree lines, so you just fly off into the forest.
You know, I happened to be watching an old NASCAR race from Talladega, and it's probably early 90s. Nathan Moore is going to get past Logan Edwards here. We're on board with him. Just give you an idea of how fearsome this track is from the roll bar of Nathan Moore. That's 179, 181, 82, 85 miles an hour. But I was watching an old stock car race from Talladega, and it surprised me. And I didn't remember this from being a kid, Jacob. But there were not catch fences around Talladega until the mid '90s.
Yep.
Just in front of the grandstands. Pocono didn't have them either. And I went back and consulted the old Winston Cup yearbooks as we continue to just make the lap with Nathan Moore. He is in hot pursuit of the Dark Knight Adam Blocker, but about 1.2 seconds here. He's trying to catch him. They are both on the alternate tires, although Nathan Moore is at a decided disadvantage. We saw these alternates fall apart on Seb Alexander for his last lap on them, and Nathan Moore is going to have to do one more lap than Adam Blocker, and so we'll definitely see if that makes it, if he's able to keep them together more than Seb Alexander was. It's also worth noting that we need to pay attention to Alexander and Logan Edwards. Logan Edwards is going to stop. He's going to strap on the alternates for one lap, but he's got a 28-second gap to Seb Alexander. Is he going to be able to maintain that spot?
I actually am not quite sure. I want to say that'll put him just behind Alexander off the pit cycle.
Right. He'll have the alternate tires, but he's also going to be at a decided disadvantage. We are now some 4 minutes into the lap. That's how long this is. You can hear the car go over some of these bumps and crests, and you can tell when it gets light because the revs spike.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the car temporarily start to spin the wheels that little bit more when they're not really connected to the ground anymore.
Yes, it is. And so here's what we're talking about with the two carousels. The entire corner is not banked, and the exit to the Crossiola carousel there is blind. So you can't see the exit when you're down in the corner. It's a very unnerving corner. It's also very bumpy, Jacob.
Yeah, that's why you'll see in a number of different machines, people opt to still take the higher outer groove just because of how bumpy and that bottom area of the track is.
Yes, it can be. And depending on what car you're in, the top line can still be a little bit quicker. Nathan Moore gamely trying to hang on, but he's down to 55 seconds to push to pass. Adam Blocker nearly twice as much. And so this might all be over, but the shouting as we head back toward the end of the lap, some 5 minutes. But it is a lap around this place for sure, Jacob.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm watching above Logan Edwards here and just admiring all the graffiti that's on this track. How much do you think it took for the art guys to get all this graffiti onto the track for us?
That's something that's been long been a staple of the Nordschleife as we head toward the second carousel is the graffiti. I wonder when they do that, and I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe maybe Nathan or Seb or even Adam or Logan, if they get in here, can tell us that bit of Nürburgring lore. I would assume it has something to do with the 24 hours of the ring.
That'd be my suspicion, yeah.
If you look off to your right,
I'm just
you can
surprised
see
it's
that
not the whole track.
Well, they don't let them do it on the GP circuit. You can look up to your right at the top of the hill. That is the Nürburg Castle that the track is built around. That was Tiergarten, so that was the famous corner there. And now you're headed back toward the Grand Prix track. If you remember in Gran Turismo 2, you would go right there, and you would park your car there, and you could get the picture of the Grand Prix track, but you couldn't drive on it. Now you get to go straight. You can drive on it. The white flag is out, and that is a lap courtesy of Nathan Moore here at the Nürburgring. It's worth covering the pit stop for Logan Edwards. Here he comes, and we're going to see if Seb Alexander can get past. Caleb Brashear has a meatball, as does Thomas Van Kirk, and so those two cars are going to be headed back toward the pit lane very slowly. That's going to put Ty Keela up into 5th. It'll advance Olivia Hayward to 6th. How about that? The stop is done for Logan Edwards. Out comes the Luke Mansky Esports machine. Here comes Seb Alexander. This is going to get good, Jacob.
Yeah, Seb's there.
He is indeed.
We've got one lap for him to do it.
He's got one lap to do it, and he's got the hot tires. Remember, Edwards does not have warm tires, and they're not going to be warm for several corners, and this is extremely challenging when the tires are cold. Here comes Alexander. He's going to try to throw it down the inside. Not quite there.
Yeah, that very tight hairpin at the bottom portion of this GP track, as we see Edwards get loose on the exit there. Really, really tight. It's probably the narrowest portion of this GP course, even with the Nordschleife being as narrow as it is. It's probably given its run for its money. So we see Alexander by.
Yeah, Seb Alexander got the better run. Got the better run off of that right-hander, and he is going to flash past Logan Edwards, and now Logan Edwards is on the superior tire. They're going to be hot once he gets to the Nordschleife. The problem is he's on a very narrow, very twisty track, and there's not a lot of room to go by. So he's almost going to have to sit there and stew on it for 5 minutes or more.
It's going to be a name of being close enough to him to try to make a move down that back straightaway before we get to that start-finish line.
Well, and you're right. You've got to be close. You've got to be within that draft envelope. Seb Alexander only has 15 seconds of push to pass. Logan Edwards with a veritable mountain of push to pass, 145 seconds. He's on it now, down to 141. But the name of the game for Edwards is stay as close to that Indy Alliance machine as you can to try to make the run down that long back straight as you approach the Tiergarten and try to get by the Indy Alliance machine. We'll keep an eye on this battle. Adam Blocker is some 38 seconds up the road. There's Adam. He's got 4 seconds in hand over the Williams Esports machine. That is Nathan Moore. And then the battle is for third, and they are right together, and that's where we'll keep the camera. How about that, Jacob?
Well, having 2 cars on screen at the end of it, that's a win in its own right.
Yeah, this is not a track that lends itself to close racing. It's so huge. The lap times are so varied. Here comes Logan Edwards. He's going to take it down the inside or around the outside there and make the move on Seb Alexander. And that's just a function now of those red alternate tires just being hot. I suspect, though, Jacob, that this position is going to be decided by whomever has the least amount of downforce when we get to that last straight.
Well, it might be whoever has the balls of steel to be on the brakes last coming into that final set of corners.
It could be. Seb Alexander, he runs now fourth to this man. Logan Edwards is third, and Edwards has started to edge away now. 0.7 of a second. He's got the alternate tires. He doesn't have to worry about saving them. And a fine run to the end for the Luke Mansky Esports driver. It is the final lap here at the Nürburgring. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the P1 Broadcasting Network, and stick around. The Lotus 79s are next here on P1. Seb is not going.
We're just about halfway now.
Yeah, we're almost about halfway through the lap. Seb Alexander is not going away quietly as they get to the carousel. He is still within draft range of Logan Edwards. If he can stay within a second, he may very well be able to draft up behind the Luke Mansky car and make the pass. This track is all about compromise and setup. I was when we were right on board with Nathan Moore. He was about 15 miles an hour faster than the fixed set was in terms of top end speed. So that gives you an indication how much downforce he'd taken off the car.
Well, with so much of this track being relatively long straightaways, right? You've got, most notably that backstretch, but even a good portion of the GP track, some sizable straights in its own right. That's not a bad way to do it.
It's not. So I guess he figures whatever he loses in the interior of the course, he can make up on some of these long straightaways. Seb Alexander continues to try to dog Logan Edwards. He's within 0.6 of a second now. Logan Edwards blinks out. Now, how awful would that be if you got all this way at the Nürburgring and then you had a DC at the end, the old mechanical failure through the second carousel?
I think it's got to be pretty gutting, but we've still got a race here.
We do. Seb Alexander is there. Do want to welcome Samantha Sexton. Thank you so much for joining us. It is nice racing. It is wonderful to be at the Nürburgring. This is the final lap. Adam Blocker has taken the checkered flag, and he does it with the fastest lap of the night, 6 minutes, 42.873 seconds. But this is the story. It's the battle for third. Seb Alexander is closing on Logan Edwards. Is he going to have enough draft to get to that Luke Mansky car at the end of this straight? I don't think he's going to have enough. Logan Edwards is going to come back onto the GP circuit. Nathan Moore is second. Logan Edwards is going to finish third. Seb Alexander right behind him in fourth. And that's going to leave us with this man right here, Ty Keela, as he makes his way back toward home underneath the footbridge. He almost wanted to turn right and go for another lap on the Nordschleife, didn't he, Jacob?
Well, I think these guys just want to keep going round and round and round this place until the world burns over.
There's Ty. There's Ohei. She's going to come home in sixth. It's worth noting Caleb Brashear has a broken car. You see the missing left front portion of his wing. So Brashear is going to bring it home in seventh spot. He did not pit. He drove like that for 2 laps. David Hinger and Luca Monroe are still coming. There's Hinger in 8th spot. And so David Hinger will bring it home in 8th. And Luca Monroe, and where's Luca? Here he is. He is just now approaching the Tier Garden. It's almost a victory in and of itself just finishing this race, isn't it, Jacob?
I'd certainly think so. I think there's been a number of races that's about all you can do here.
It most certainly is. Thomas Van Kirk is going to be credited 1 lap down. He was not flagged off. He pulled over and parked it So Luca Monroe will be your final finisher. And there he is, fans. That is going to conclude 9 laps in IndyCars at the combined Nürburgring. And so for the final results, it's Adam Blocker. He is your winner. Nathan Moore is second. Logan Edwards, well-deserved, rounds out your podium. Seb Alexander is fourth. Tyquila is gonna complete the top 5. And then it's Olivia Hayward, Caleb Brashear, David Hinger, and Luca Monroe. Your final finishers through 9th. Thomas Van Kirk is going to be classified 10th. In 11th, Tyler Langenberg, Kevin Hayes credited with 12th. Ella Spice 13th. Frankie Frankicha is going to be 14th. 14 starters only here tonight. 28 entered. 2 splits of 14 for the time slot. And we'll start the interviews tonight with P3. It's Logan Edwards. Logan, you've got Murph and you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
So we've seen you win in a truck, in a pickup truck. We've seen you win in an IndyCar on an oval. Now you've been on the podium at the Nürburgring. How does this compare to some of the more diverse things you've done in iRacing? This track is something else, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this was I'd say this is kind of a part of something that I'm really proud of, which is 3 in a row podiums in open. It's a huge achievement for me. I never thought I'd be here. You know, I mean, just like a year ago, I remember being like P11, P10 in the same races.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can definitely tell that you've been putting in the work. A fine podium run tonight. Jacob, what do you have for our third place finisher?
I think you were the only one we saw all night make a pass on the Nordschleife proper. You know, we saw Seb Alexander make it by you while you were trying to get heat into those red alternates at the end there. Talk about how you had to kind of hang in there and be willing to make that move as early as you did through the green hell.
I knew that I had a rocket ship in a straight line, and the red tires. Caleb was telling me that the red tires are treacherous past like 1.5 laps, so I decided to go all in on the 4-4-1, and it paid off, and it was pretty easy to hold on because of that reduced drag that I had.
Well, I'll tell you what, we noticed that several drivers had peeled away a lot of downforce. I think that when I tested the fixed setup, it was only good for about 180 miles an hour down the long straights, and we could tell that several of you, yourself, Nathan Moore, especially, were definitely going much faster than that. So the lack of downforce, the lack of downforce definitely paid off for you tonight, Logan. You drive the Luke Mansky Esports car up to third place, and with that, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsor, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
Shout out to Luke Mansky Racing Esports. I'm about to jump right into Long Beach practice for the pro qualifying race. That'll be fun. And thanks to my new cat, unnamed, but super cool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Logan, for joining us. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
See you, Mark.
Yes, sir. That is Logan Edwards. He runs third tonight. For second place, we've got Nathan Moore, the Williams Esports driver. Nathan, you've got Murph, you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. It looked as though you pulled up on Adam's gearbox there to start his final stint, and then he just got away from you a little bit. Was it a matter of the alternates got a little bit too toasty?
Yeah, definitely. I think Adam did a great job in the first stint, especially going the 4 laps. So I always knew that I had the undercut potential, but if he got out ahead of me on track, which he did, he was going to always have the 1 lap fresher tires, and yeah, I couldn't keep up with him in the GP section and maybe the first half of the track, and then from carousel onwards, I felt I was a little bit stronger. Started to come back at him a little bit, but yeah, it wasn't enough. He just had that little bit extra today, and yeah, my reds were just done for on lap 2 and 3 of the final stint.
Jacob?
Yeah, the pit strategy seemed to be kind of the name of the game for everybody near the front of the field. You know, do you feel like there was maybe an opportunity for you to make that extra lap come the start of the race? Had you expected to make it, or was it just one of those deals that you kind of locked in a strategy before the get-go and took it as it was?
Yeah, I was in two minds really. I think it was very tight to make the 4 laps with the few laps I did of practice about an hour or so before the race. So it was close for the 4 laps, but I decided in the end just to lock in, just do the 3 laps each time and just hope for the best. Of course, it turned out to be a little bit of a wrong strategy, but you know, I gave Adam, felt like I gave him a good go today. It was a good race, only 4 seconds away, so. Yeah, I felt like if I got the strategy right, I wouldn't, not going to sit here and say I would have won necessarily, but I think it would have been a little bit closer had I maybe stretched out 4 laps on one of the stints. But you know, it was still a good race anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a fine showing. You gave Adam Blocker a run for his money, and just came up just that little bit short. But it was definitely fun to watch. Fun to watch the chase. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours.
I'll just give a shout out to you guys at P1 Broadcasting. It's always great what you guys do for the community every Monday. Well, of course, a whole range of races throughout the week, but especially this time slot, it's always nice to turn up every once in a while. And also a thanks to my team at Williams Sim Racing Academy. For all the hard work we're doing and stuff, and yeah, big race coming up this week, I believe, with the Indy Pro qualifying beginning. So that'll keep my mind occupied, and yeah, it was nice to turn up. Huge thanks to you guys, and yeah, I'll maybe see if I can turn up in the next few weeks.
Absolutely, we look forward to seeing you and your team in the pro qualifiers. Keep going fast and having fun, Nathan.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. That is Nathan Moore. He will finish second to this man, Adam Blocker. Adam, you've got Murph, you've got Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. Two questions from me. The first is, how tight was it to make the 4 laps on fuel? And then how big of a bonus was it to not have to take care of the reds?
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason to do it really was to not have to do the 3rd lap on reds, just because here there's not really a lot. I mean, you can do necessarily to really take care of them. You just have to build your setup to kind of last on them, because I mean, there's just so many high-speed corners where you put load through them. There's no way to really do a lot about it. But yeah, so it was a huge benefit, and it actually didn't end up being that close. So I could pretty much full push the end lap. And a lot of that was because I had draft from Seb on the first lap and then Nathan for the other 2 laps. And so, without even really just trying to pass them, I could just lean the car out on the keep it leaned out on the long straights. And I think I was more trim than Nathan too. So, yeah, it just really helped save a lot of fuel in those first few laps. And I knew once he pitted on the first lap early, I was like, okay, this is going to be a really good shot to do something here.
Jacob?
Yeah, we kind of noticed a number of guys were doing some differences on the setups. Kind of talk us through your philosophy with trying to get your car either trimmed out or kind of sucked to the floor, if you will, in terms of getting around this place. It seems that everybody's kind of got their own creature comforts, if you will.
Well, I think the most important thing over everything, probably more than any other track that this series ever goes to, is that you need the car to be comfortable and predictable, because it's one thing to do lap times in practice, but when you have to do it for 9 laps in a row around here, like, you need to build in comfort. Otherwise, you're either going to crash or you're going to have moments where you then lose confidence and underdrive. So that's big, and really I just kind of use a legacy setup that we have been using, that I used here last year, and then tweaked it for the car updates. And then I guess the main thing was that with the new Tempest weather, that I think it's the first time we've raced this track since then, it was colder, a lot colder, which affected, like, cold tires were sketchy because of that, and it also meant that I felt like I could trim further. And yeah, I mean, in the end it worked. It seemed like I was a little bit less drag than Nathan and was really strong on the GP section, but he was really good in the second half of the Nordschleife, basically from like the first carousel all the way to the Datengraho, like the really long straight. So yeah, it was interesting. I bet if we compared setup sheets, they would probably be quite a bit different. And I knew because of that, if I ever got behind him on one of the next stints, I probably needed to get past him before the carousel to be kind of ahead before that section to kind of hold him up. But just so I don't think I was going to be close enough necessarily to be able to get there on the long straight. But yeah, it was going to be interesting if I ever got behind him and then I had to overtake him again, which I really thought was going to happen. But just the cold weather and the cold tires were so sketchy, it took so long to get them going that the overcut worked really well.
For sure. I have to commend you, Nathan, and then Logan and Seb. It is pretty rare to have one of these races and have two cars in the same picture at the end of 9 laps here, let alone battling for position. And you 4 managed to do it. So kudos to all 4 of you on that. A great win. Another great win for you, Adam. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody at Powerslide for the work as usual, and yeah, just community for showing up and supporting this time slot and this track. It's cool since that we started running this track a few years ago, and it's actually a really fun combination that probably some people wouldn't expect. And yeah, I just want to thank y'all for covering it, and see you wherever we're at next week. It looks like Red Bull Ring. So.
There you go, Adam. Well, thank you so much for supporting us. We're going to see you in the Pro Series qualifiers.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do them, at least the first few, and yeah, I don't know what my real life schedule really looks like a lot right now, but I'll try to do as many as I can and see where I end up, and just kind of go from there.
That's all we can do, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Yep, see you there.
That is Adam Blocker. He is tonight's winner, and Jacob, that was something that I didn't think that either one of us thought we would see, which was a close race here at the Nürburgring.
It helps when you got some of the best of the business out there to do it, Mark.
We did. Anytime you see Adam Blocker, Nathan Moore, Seb Alexander, Logan Edwards, anytime you see those guys here to tee it up, you are going to see a good one. Speaking of a good one, if you want some more open wheel action, just leave it right here. We'll be immediately going to the Lotus 79 Onyx Racing League event from Gateway. And then the nightcap is going to be Jacob Collins. He'll have the Indy Next Series from Portland. Tomorrow night, it is the flagship. It's the Indy Oval Fixed Top Split, and that's going to be from Legacy, Kentucky. So the symmetrical, regular colored walled version of Kentucky, immediately followed by the Indy Next Fixed Oval Series. Wednesday, we're going to have a doubleheader. It's the Formula Indy Series and the Horizon INDYCAR Series. Thursday, the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series with the AMA makes its return. Friday, it'll be the Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series for Jacob Collins. I am Mark Murphy, our founder Gary Godso. We want to thank everybody who tuned us in tonight. Great crowd on hand for the Nürburgring. Thank all the competitors as well, because without them, this would be really, really boring, Jacob. But we also have to thank the people that really make it possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that drive the ambulance, and the nurses that unload you when you get to the hospital, Jacob. We do thank them. I will not be here next week. Jacob Collins will have the broadcast next week from the Red Bull Ring, and I will return for Auto Club to make it a 2-man booth. Everybody, keep going fast, having fun, and we'll see you at the next one.